Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're heading into some pretty dark territory, looking at the hidden dangers in our online lives, specifically how things on platforms like Facebook, seemingly normal interactions can just twist into something really disturbing. We've gathered some accounts, real stories from people who went through some truly terrifying online stalking. So our goal today is really to shine a light on how easily that trust we place online can be broken and how these digital threats can bleed into very real danger. Stick with us as we unpack these unsettling stories. And hey, if you find this valuable, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Docx, for more content like this. Okay, let's start with this first one. It's quite unsettling, actually. It happened in South Korea. Picture this. An 18-year-old young woman just moved there for university. A pretty common situation, right? Foreign student might get random friend requests. And she gets one on Facebook from this guy, Nico. He has a few mutual friends, sends her a message saying he just wants to, make friends with other foreign students. His profile looked, interesting. Lots of piercings, tattoos. Said he was Japanese but studied in Canada, spoke good English, and claimed he was at her university. So, okay, she accepts. Seemed harmless enough at first glance, but things went south really fast. Casual chat just wasn't possible. It felt like he twisted everything she said into some kind of argument. Then came the demands, blunt stuff, like we should be together or insisting they meet up for coffee or whatever. She politely refused, explaining, look, we've barely known each other a week. And his reaction, just explosive. He started insulting her looks, making these really graphic threats about what he'd do if he saw her, told her she'd never do better than him. Just awful stuff. So understandably, she was totally freaked out. Blocked him, deleted him. Hope that was that.
Yeah, and what's really striking there is just how fast that switch happens. You go from this maybe intense attention, almost love bombing, straight into devaluation and aggression the second a boundary is set. It's a classic manipulation tactic. It's not about real connection, it's about power. That no is seen as a challenge to their control, and they lash out like that. It's disproportionate and, frankly, terrifying.
Exactly. And it wasn't over. She mentioned it to a friend, and the friend immediately knew who Nico was. Turns out this wasn't a one-off. Nico had this whole pattern, adding young women on Facebook, trying to bully or pressure them into meeting him. And here's the really chilling part. Her friend found out Nico didn't even go to their university. He lived like an hour away. He was commuting in, maybe, as the friend put it, to watch and obsess over whoever his current target was. All his claims about being Japanese, studying in Canada, the university, all lies, just completely made up. Then the digital harassment kicked back in. About a week or two later, she starts getting messages from new Facebook accounts, all claiming to be Nico, saying things like, I saw you today at school, which was incredibly unnerving, right? Because it confirmed her fear that he might actually be watching her. She kept blocking these accounts, but then messages started coming from other accounts claiming to be Nico's friends. They'd say his main account was hacked and could she please unblock him. She suspected, probably correctly, that it was just Nico trying a different angle, and the more she ignored him, the worse the messages got. Really aggressive, incredibly vulgar stuff, calling her a thing slut, a four-eyed slut who can't get laid, just vile. But she was smart enough to realize he was bluffing on some details, like he'd say, I saw you in the library all day, but she never went to the library. Or he'd make comments about her glasses, which she only wore at home. He was just throwing insults, trying to get a reaction. But then came the absolute climax of it all. Truly terrifying. One day after class, she stops at a convenience store for a drink. She opens the fridge door, grabs something, closes it, and Nico is literally standing right beside her, just inches away. He didn't say a thing, just stared. Even though she'd never seen him in person, she instantly knew it was him. She was utterly terrified, dropped the bottle, just ran, fled back to the school, made sure she stayed in crowded places until a friend could meet her. For about a week after that, she saw him a few times after her classes, just standing there, watching her, staring really intently. She made absolutely sure she was never alone, always with friends. Thankfully, the messages eventually stopped and she didn't see him again after that week. The very last contact was a whole year later, another new Facebook account, asking to be friends again, claiming the whole thing was all just a joke. She just ignored it, blocked him again. It's just, a stark reminder of how quickly that online stuff can become very, very real. Okay, let's shift gears slightly for our second story. This one started even more innocently, if you can believe it, just a Facebook poke. So this woman had been in a relationship for 6 years. And the whole time she kept getting these Facebook pokes from this one particular guy. She said he looked muscly and quite attractive, and they had like 30 mutual friends. So she kind of just ignored it, harmless online thing. Then a couple of weeks after she and her long-term boyfriend broke up, the same guy messages her privately. They start talking, and eventually they go on a first date. And apparently it was lovely. Nice dinner, walk under the stars, the whole thing seemed really promising. But then just weeks later, weird things started happening. Red flags. Like, he would never let her inside his house. Wow. Ever. She'd be left standing outside, sometimes for like 45 minutes, late at night. No explanation given. That's odd.
Oh, definitely. Those seemingly small, odd behaviors, especially consistently, they're almost always significant early warnings. Refusing someone entry into their personal space like that, it points to major control issues or something significant they're hiding. It breaks that basic level of openness you expect. It can indicate emotional unavailability, or worse, it can be a sign of someone testing boundaries, seeing what they can get away with, which is often a prelude to more controlling behavior down the line.
Right. She, gave him the benefit of the doubt, as she put it. The next Friday, she invites him over to her place instead. He ends up staying for 9 days. 9. She literally had to text a friend and arrange for the friend to come pick me up and not invite him, just to get him out of her apartment. So she tries to end things gently, says she's unwell, needs some space. His reaction: immediately accuses her of cheating, starts insulting her. That was it for her. She told him to leave, cut off contact. And boom, the digital onslaught started right away. Constant texts, missed call after missed call, every day. She blocks him on Facebook, so what does he do? He starts messaging all her friends, begging them to talk her into taking him back, just relentless. After about a week of quiet, she thought, okay, maybe it's finally over. Blissful silence. Then she gets a call. Unknown number. It's her dad, asking who the guy was who just walked past her front door. It turns out this guy, the stalker, knew someone who lived across the street from her. And he'd gotten them to literally watch her flat, reporting back on her movements, who came and went. He'd even lied to the neighbors, told them they were still together, and he was just, quote, concerned for her safety. Unbelievable. Then it escalated to a physical chase. One evening, she's walking home, times her bus perfectly. As she gets near her place, she sees a figure kind of tucked away in the shadows. It was him. She kept her cool, walked towards her front door. He follows, keeping a distance, until she gets right to the door of her building. Then he runs after her, chases her up the stairs inside her block of flats, so she confronts him right there on the stairs. Tells him he's scaring her, that he needs help. His response: he genuinely thought a hug would change my mind. Thankfully, a neighbor heard the commotion and came out screaming, and he was basically escorted out of the building with a very stern warning. It just shows how fast that digital stuff can become physical pursuit, actual surveillance. Her takeaway: be way more careful about who you connect with online and trust your gut over initial charm. Background checks, maybe, she even said. Okay, our final story tonight. And this one's important because it shows it's not just, young women who become targets. This is about a man, late 20s, describes himself as pretty ordinary, uninteresting man with a stable job and happy family. I never thought he'd be targeted like this. It started with a coworker named Carrie, someone he'd never actually met or even spoken to. She worked in a different department. Out of the blue, she sends friend requests on Facebook to him and his wife. They accept, thinking, okay, coworker, maybe being friendly. But then Carrie starts digging. Sifting through years of his wife's old posts, pictures, liking things, commenting. She started interacting with his posts too, acting as though she knew us. But at work, total silence. Wouldn't even make eye contact if they passed in the hallway.
I agree.
Right. So
yeah, that disconnect is really telling, isn't it? That intense online engagement, almost obsessive, combined with zero real-world interaction, it often signals someone living in a kind of manufactured reality. They're building a relationship with the online persona, not the person. It's a major boundary violation, often rooted in fantasy or obsession, and completely ignores social norms. Their goal isn't connection, it's something else, often control or maybe even living vicariously.
Exactly. And Carrie's first moves were kind of indirect, but definitely malicious. A fake Facebook account suddenly friends him. Then that same fake account starts bombarding another coworker, Maya, with horrible insults, accusing her of being a whore slut. It even messaged Maya's husband claiming Maya was cheating on him. He eventually unfriended the fake account, but still, Then digital weirdness kept coming. More fake friend requests, mostly hookup type profiles aimed at him, suspicious login attempts on his Facebook, warnings about logins from strange locations. He admits he stupidly didn't change his password then. He saw them as just random isolated things, not part of a pattern targeting him. Okay, so months go by. Then Carrie messages his wife, says she bought this really expensive high-end camera, wants to practice amateur film, and she asks if she can come over and film their family for a day. They were reluctant, but again, they kind of extended their trust, gave her a vague, sure, whenever we're not busy answer.
Well,
Later, he follows up, politely declining the filming for now. And that's when things got really, really strange. Carrie sends him, via Facebook message, several GIF files of stick figures doing sexually suggestive motions. Just bizarre, he doesn't respond. So she messages again. Funny, isn't it? Then the privacy violation just ramps up massively. She sends him old photos from his abandoned MySpace account, stuff he'd totally forgotten existed. It showed this really disturbing level of digging into his past digital life, really creepy. And the verbal harassment got explicit. She started talking about her own body, trying to get him to compliment her. Then she started asking about his penis, calling it his cock, suggesting it was probably pretty big, really graphic and appropriate stuff. At that point, he just completely stopped responding to her at all.
and you can see how everything leads up to this next part. It's calculated. The fake accounts targeting others, the accessing of old forgotten accounts like MySpace, that deep dive for old photos. It's not just random harassment, it's strategic. It's about finding vulnerabilities, gaining leverage, showing this unnerving level of access and control. And often the ultimate goal in these situations isn't just to scare the target. It's to completely isolate them, destroy their reputation, ruin their relationships, and they kind of revel in the misery they've caused. It's an attack on their whole life, their support system.
Yeah. And the final blow was devastating. This was over a year after the MySpace photos. He tries to log into Facebook, password's been changed. When he finally gets back in, all his private messages are gone, wiped clean. He soon finds out why. Messages had been sent from his account to women close to him, good friends, his wife's sisters, his friends' wives, and these messages were apparently incredibly inappropriate. Graphic in detail, he said, about what he supposedly wanted to do to them sexually. The impact was just profound. He felt completely violated and humiliated, obviously. His friends, his family, even though they said they understood it wasn't him, they slowly stopped coming around. His home started feeling empty. He fell into a mild depression, started thinking about quitting his job, even moving away. Just felt this crushing shame and guilt, even though he hadn't done anything. He credits his wife massively for helping him through it, reminding him he was strong, that it wasn't his fault. They advised everyone who got the messages to just ignore the fake account, which apparently kept harassing people using his name and picture for a while. Eventually, it did stop. And his conclusion: well, there's no concrete proof linking Carrie directly to the final hack and messages. All these incidents started when she arrived, coincided with her strange behavior, and stopped after she left the company. He and his wife firmly believe Carrie reveled in the misery of others, that she moved from victim to victim, ruining lives just because, well, she enjoyed doing so, and his chilling final thought: she surely hasn't stopped. Wow. So these stories, these deep dives into what we're calling digital shadows, from that obsession in South Korea, the ex-boyfriend's surveillance, to this coworker's calculated destruction, they really show some powerful, disturbing common threads, don't they? They just highlight how insidious online connections can become, how quickly privacy gets shattered, and how easily digital stuff spirals into real-world fear and danger. It really hammers home how vigilant we need to be online, even with friend requests that seem innocent, or behavior that just feels a bit off. Protecting your digital footprint, being really aware of who you connect with, and maybe most importantly, just always trusting your gut feeling.
Absolutely. And these stories really force us to ask, I think, a really vital question for today. You know, the lines between our digital lives and our physical safety are blurring more and more. So how do we actually navigate that? What new ways of thinking, maybe beyond just tweaking privacy settings, do we need to develop to genuinely protect ourselves and the people we care about from these kinds of digital shadows? It's something we all need to consider.
That's a really important thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this pretty unsettling exploration today. We really hope these accounts, as disturbing as they are, serve as a potent reminder and maybe offer some lessons for navigating our complex digital world. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to Horror Docx if you want more deep dives like this. Until next time, please stay safe and be mindful of the digital shadows.